Let's talk about the partnership between All Elite Wrestling and Impact Wrestling, a partnership that started late last year, what AEW now calls the Forbidden Door, where they work with Impact Wrestling, where they work with the NWA, where they work with New Japan Pro Wrestling, some of them dating back even further to when they started with Impact Wrestling. But right now, what I want to focus on is on the company that used to be number two, a very far number two, just like AEW is right now, but it was still number two in North America. And the fact of the matter is that there have been some rumblings amongst Impact Wrestling fans on how this is not a fair partnership, on how this is not the type of partnership that they want for their company. And I can't help but agree in some instances and disagree on others. Now, if you follow me on Twitter and if you follow a fellow YouTuber in BQ Speaks in terms of his Impact Lounge, which if you're an Impact Wrestling fan, you should follow. That's something that I've been following for quite a few years now. Something that inspired me to start this YouTube channel for wrestling talk itself. But overall, on the Impact Wrestling side of things, there's been a lot of talk about how AEW fails to promote the company, on how AEW fails to even mention Impact Wrestling in their broadcasts every single week on Dynamite and TNT. And I've been catching up on Dynamite myself on YouTube over the past few days. And from what I've seen, yes, that has been the case. They have failed to mention Impact Wrestling. As a matter of fact, the one thing that bothers me the most right now in terms of this partnership is the fact that this upcoming Sunday, we've got the Rebellion pay-per-view, an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view, which of course AEW should not have to promote one bit, because it is an Impact Wrestling pay-per-view. But if you go online, if you watch Impact Wrestling, if you follow Impact Wrestling at all, you know that at Rebellion, we are going to have a title versus title match, where it's going to be the Impact World Champion Rich Swann defending his Impact World Championship against the AEW World Champion Kenny Omega. And it's title versus title. And I've talked about this in a previous video. I don't think we're going to come out with a clean winner. I don't think any one of these two men are going to come out with both titles in their hands. But if you look at Dynamite, there's no mention of Impact Wrestling. Rich Swann, as far as I know, hasn't made an appearance on AEW TV to build to this match. And Kenny Omega, as far as AEW TV is concerned, he's not really worried about having to face Rich Swann, having to defend his his AEW World title. Now, if you look on the other side of the coin, every single week on Impact Wrestling on Access TV, just like there's going to be one tonight, there's going to be a mention of Rich Swann defending his world title at Rebellion, as there should. But there's going to be a mention of Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega has been a part of Impact programming over the past few weeks. He has been a very relevant, very much a priority for Impact Wrestling to promote this match. Their big match. A match that they're trying to sell on pay-per-view. And I get that. I really, really do. But compare and contrast both scenarios, and it just seems like Impact Wrestling is very, very worried that Rich Swann is going to lose the Impact World title to Kenny Omega, whereas AEW doesn't really give a shit about Rebellion. That's the perception I've been seeing, or I've been noticing. And I get it. AEW doesn't have to mention Impact Wrestling at all, or let me rephrase that. Not at all. They should mention it if there's a partnership and there's a big title match leading up at the pay-per-view this Sunday. You don't have to beat us over the head with it, but at least promote it, at least mention it, at least have the Impact World Champion show up on Dynamite on a weekly basis to build to this match. That's the whole point of this partnership, to help each other out, to help elevate Impact Wrestling, to help elevate Dynamite, to get people talking. And right now it just seems like Impact Wrestling is on AEW's hook. You know, AEW's promising this, promising that. Impact Wrestling is expecting this, is expecting that. They're expecting to make it official, make the relationship official. But here's the thing, AEW won't put out so quite easily. I don't know. Obviously, this is a partnership that benefits Impact Wrestling more than it does AEW. You just have to look at the channels they're on, the notoriety that each of these companies have at this point in time. But again, Impact Wrestling is getting the short end of this stick, but they're not the only one. Again, it's a forbidden door that AEW is talking about. And when it comes to, from what I've seen on AEW programming, they don't really mention Impact Wrestling on Access TV, or their champions, or their storylines, or their characters. They don't do that for the NWA and their YouTube channel, and their champions, and their characters, and their stories. Nothing at all. There's, other than the fact that Kenta appeared a few, what's it been, like 2 months now? He's appeared on Dynamite. Other than that, there's not really a mention to New Japan Pro Wrestling shows, or their subscription service, or anything at all. So again, it just seems like AEW is just helping themselves to all this star power, to all this talent, to all these venues where they promote their content, and they aren't giving anything back. Hopefully, for Impact Wrestling, that changes. Again, I've talked about it. I don't think there's going to be a double champion coming out of Rebellion. I think there's going to be an invasion, or there should be an invasion angle setting up between Impact and AEW, which should elevate both companies and get the wrestling world and the IWC talking. That is my expectation. That is my hope in terms of this relationship showing up over the past few months, over the past 5, 6, 7 months that it's been a reality. But that's me. Those are my thoughts on this whole partnership. Again, to resume, I don't think AEW should be mentioning and beating us over the head over all these different partnerships that they've accumulated. But at least build up to their big moments, build up to their big pay-per-views, like Rebellion this Sunday night, where we have a title versus title match where your champion, Kenny Omega, could lose his title. At least make the AEW fan base think, believe, have a little doubt that he might lose the Impact World title, the AEW World title, damn that's hard, the AEW World title to Rich Swann, and in the process, elevate Rich Swann to a whole nother level. But that's just me. Those are just my thoughts. I'm sure, like I've read over social media over the past few weeks, over the past few months, many of you agree with me. Some of you, most of you might not. If you don't, leave your thoughts on the comment section below. Again, this is not a forum. This is not an area where we need to agree or disagree in a very hostile format. This is just us wrestling fans discussing what should and should not happen in professional wrestling, as fans always do, and just have fun with it. And let's see how this plays out. But, again, if you want my predictions for the title versus title match this Sunday at Rebellion, you can find that video right here on my YouTube channel below. And, you know, if you stuck around for the entirety of this video, if you've cared enough to watch this video and care about my thoughts about this forbidden door and this partnership between AEW and Impact Wrestling and everybody else, I appreciate you so much. I've been Alexis Carrillo. That's been it for me. Have a great rest of your day.